Sending much love to my home educators who live in Wales. Time to flee. I'll be doing a few videos on the new horrendous guidelines for home educators in Wales, but I thought it might be helpful to, seeing as I'm assuming that legally they can't discriminate against home educators and have sort of different standards for them than, let's say, school parents. I'm assuming they're going to be putting legislation like this into schools as well, which is great. So let's have a look at it. Right, sorry for the screenshot being right at the top. But I'm glad to see a failure to provide educations capable of satisfying the threshold criteria of significant harm under Section 31 of the Children Act 1989. Therefore, I'm assuming that the government will address the 250,000 children who are currently in schools that have been failing via Ofsted reports for over 13 years. You have 250,000 children at least who you have significantly harmed. So I'm glad to see they will be addressing that. Then we're going to take a little detour. There's no evidence to suggest that home educated children are at greater risk of a neglect or abuse than children who are educated at school. Interesting that you failed to mention the studies that have been done that show that actually home educated children are at less risk of abuse than children who are educated in school. I just think it's interesting how in legislation you just leave out statistics, proven statistics, if they're not convenient to you. That was on a side note. This one I particularly love. Under Section 135 of the 2014 Act, the Safeguarding Children's Board objectives are to protect children in its area who are experiencing at risk of abuse, neglect or other harm. Therefore, I'm assuming you're going to address all the bullying. I think something like bullied at school as a very niche keyword is googled something like over 30,000 times a year in the UK. And we know it happens way more than that. So I'm assuming that all the absolute BS zero tolerance policies that are put into schools are actually going to be enacted now. Good news for all. Moving on. I'm very pleased to see they've mentioned Flexi schooling, which most primary schools refuse because head teachers are not sufficiently supported. So I'm assuming the government are going to put procedures and resources in place to allow Flexi schooling for more children, either as a stepping stone to home education or for children that are going back into school after being out of school, or just as the primary method of education. This is novel. Parents should have an opportunity to discuss the report, which is based off the meeting that is now compulsory pretty much with the local authority, and to have any factual inaccuracies corrected quickly. Please tell me how factual inaccuracies are supposed to be corrected if they are up for dispute because it's not in a writing. Home educators are therefore allowed to record these meetings so that the facts are not up for dispute. This page is particularly interesting. Above, we've got, if it appears to a local authority a child of compulsory school age is not receiving a suitable education, they must serve a notice in writing on the parent, blah, blah, blah. The parent has to satisfy them within no less than 15 days. Schools have 30 months to sort their act out. They get 15 days. Finally, lack of suitable education appears likely to impair a child's development. You'll be pulling a load of kids out of school, mates. New guidance sucks. I'll do more videos on it soon.